Welcome to Rick's Corner today. Today is a tribute to a very close friend, a mentor, an icon, the Godfather of bodybuilding, Joe Weider, who passed away just a couple of days ago. Now, there's been a lot of tributes to him from various bodybuilders from all over the world, people who he's helped, Arnold, of course, and many of the Mr. Olympias who knew him through the years. But there's only a few of us left who really knew him from back in the day, and I'm one of them. I had a different relationship with Joe. Joe always promoted his shows and his bodybuilders and the Mr. Olympia and all these contests that the top guys were in. And even though I trained as a bodybuilder, I was a pro wrestler. So I was a little bit off to the left of what the mainstream bodybuilder was. However, he recognized me as one of the bodybuilders because I trained with all the guys and we were all friends, we were all family, and Joe would come down on the weekends to the gym and work out with us. And he was just a wonderful man. So my feelings about him might be a little bit different. My involvement with him is a little bit different than a competitive bodybuilder. And the way this came about was back in the days when I first started training. Of course, I read all of his magazines. We all did, and we all said, "Oh, if we could only be like one of those guys in the magazines." And you know, when you're across the country and you're in a different world and you're in a different state, it's almost impossible to become one of those guys because you're not in the Mecca where you'd meet somebody like him. Well, I moved here. And I trained at Bill Pearl's gym for about a year. And then everybody said, go over to Gold's, that's where things are happening. And I wasn't really aware of that. I just knew the magazines and the guys. I wasn't really aware, because Gold's really wasn't on the map yet. So I moved to Venice, and I started training at Gold's. And probably the first day in there, I ran into Arnold, and we started talking, we started training. And I trained with him and Dave Draper and Franco and all the guys, because we were all just like a group of guys that hung out at the gym. And there was only a handful. It's not like the day where you see thousands of people in the gym. And Joe would come down on Sundays and work out with everybody. And I was always very, very shocked that Joe could walk in the gym cold and grab the 65-pound dumbbells and start curling them. I mean, that's a lot of weight. And not a lot of people could do that. And I said, how in the world can you still do that? He said, Rick, I'm strong. I said, I believe it, and I know it, and you are, and there's no question about it. Well, he's one of the guys. And he would take us to lunch. We'd go to the Jamaica Bay in the marina. We'd sit, we'd talk about training. He's just one of the guys. I mean, he was an icon, but he didn't act like that. So at the time when I had done the Gold's Gym logo, and I had done, shortly after the World Gym logo, actually this was before the World Gym logo, I did the Gold's Gym logo, and then I came out with a line of bodybuilding designs on a company I call Expressions. Bodybuilders stay hard longer, nothing feels as good as a nice snatch, a snatch lift, muscle heads have more meat, and I put them in a different magazine because it was only costing me like $150 a month. Well, Joe saw that, and he said, look, Rick, you're the only guy that I know in bodybuilding at this present time that has a line of bodybuilding t-shirts, which is true. Nobody else did it. I was the only artist that did it. He said, why don't you put those in my magazine? I said, Joe, I can't afford your magazine. That's like $1,000 a month for a page, and I don't have the kind of funds to do that. I'm not making that kind of money with it. He says, if you go in my magazine and you do it, you'll get rich. You'll make a lot of money. I said, okay, so what do I have to do? He says, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. I will do your ad, and I'll personally lay it out, and I won't charge you as long as you're available to pose for my magazine and my products with barbells and the girls and proteins and all that, and I'll use you monthly, and then I'll give you free ad space. I said, that's a killer deal. And this is the type of guy Joe was. He was a very generous man. As some of the guys said, he wouldn't give you the end result, but he'd give you the ball to run with, and you come to the end result. And so he gave me the ball, and I ran with it, and I took the ad, and I fulfilled the orders, and I printed the shirts, and I added baseball caps and license plate frames that say I'd rather be pumping iron. I had keychains with bodybuilders on them, and I started making a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. His magazine was a mail order catalog for bodybuilders, and that's where everybody ordered their stuff. It was the major magazine around. It's basically a bodybuilding catalog. Well, it ran, and the rates went up to $1,800 a month, and then $2,000 a month, and then all the way up to $25,000 a month, and I was still getting these ads free, which was phenomenal. He had millions of readers. And to this day, and I'm going back 30 years, I still get orders from the ads that he gave me. T-shirt for $7.95, and it's phenomenal. That magazine still circulates. And I explained to somebody, magazines have a readership and they have a subscription. Readership or views on the internet are viewers. Those are people that read something over and they pass it on, they pass it on, they pass it on. Subscriptions means guys subscribe to it, but that doesn't mean that it stops there. I mean, subscription's one thing, readership's much bigger. Well, over the years, I ran those ads, and Arnold and I would drive out to his office, and Arnold would collect his check for whatever he was doing, and then I'd be out washing my car, and my wife would say, Joe Weider's on the phone. I said, okay, I'll come in, let me dry off. What is it, Joe? He says, I need you Friday for a photo shoot down in Venice. Well, Joe was one of these types of guys that would show up to every hands-on. I'm coming to the posing section. I'm going to show you how to do it. I want you to hold the barbell this way. He had an old Cadillac with all of this stuff in it. He was had a very ambitious man. He had a lot of energy, and he treated people really, really well. And he got involved in the photo shoot. He didn't hire somebody else to do it. He told the photographers what he wanted, the way he wanted it. Tuck your stomach in, bring your chest out, do this, do that, run down the beach with the girls, do this, and we did it all. And he was just a great guy to work with. So over the years, I got to know him very, very well. And then as time moved on, and I didn't compete in bodybuilding because I wanted to wrestle. That was my thing. That's where I was making the money in the ring. But I kept my body in shape, and Joe knew it. So that's why he would use me for ads. And then when I turned around 50, he used me for another ad for over 50. A guy stays in shape. And so being in the bodybuilding world at my level was connected with all these guys, but I wasn't a competitor. As I said, I was a pro wrestler. However, I became one of the guys in the magazines. And my point is, when I read the magazines, and like you read the magazines, say, God, I'd just like to be one of those guys. I became one of those guys with Arnold, Louis, Franklin, all, and it happened like that. And things happen for a reason, and they happen when you least expect it. And I'm grateful. I am so grateful. You have no idea, to Arnold and Joe Weider, who brought me along and opened the doors for me to have a success, not only in bodybuilding but wrestling, and then acting and producing and all these things that I probably wouldn't have done if I hadn't met Joe Weider and Arnold. I probably wouldn't have done it. I would have been down another road, being a rock musician, which was my main thing. So I have to thank Joe Weider with my career, my life, my motivation, which I'm a very motivated person. I don't take no for an answer. And with Rick's Corner, as you know, it's growing, growing, and growing. I tell it like it is. Joe told it like it was. We all did what we did. And I learned an awful lot from that man. And I love him dearly. And I'm so sad to see that he passed away. But at 93, that's a good life. And he did his thing. And time comes and it goes quick. So I urge all of you to respect Joe and know him for the great man that he was, and learn from his motivation. I certainly am, and I'm going to make my mark in life as well, because I look up to him to raise the bar for me to meet it. So my condolences go out to the Weider family and all of the other bodybuilders that were close with him, that all knew him like I did, because it's a sad day when somebody like this leaves your life. But you know what? He's always in my heart. He's always in my mind. And I'm focused to go forward and keep bodybuilding on the map and do the golden era tributes as I have been doing. So I just want to say this, and we love you, Joe. We know you're in heaven, but you're with us, and you always will be. And thank you, viewers, for being so supportive of Rick's Corner. I'm going forward. I'm going to bring you a lot more stuff that you want to hear from the golden era, and thank you again.
It's RickDrasin.com. He is the equalizer, baby. See you next time.